Welcome to the weekly Kashmir University video digest Quest. First a look at the highlights. Renowned sociologist Prof Dabla is no more. Vice Chancellor holds meeting with Chief Education Officers. 4-day workshop on safe driving concludes. And author Mirza Waheed delivers a speech. Now the details of the event with your host Hilal Ahmed. We begin our program with the sad news that renowned sociologist of the Valley, Professor Bashir Ahmed Dabla, is no more. A scholar of par excellence and one of the senior professors of the university. Professor Dabla was born on 9th of July 1954. He did his post-graduation, MPhil and later on PhD from JNU New Delhi. Professor Dabla has been a visiting fellow to several universities in India and abroad and had a number of books and research papers to his credit. He was a member of various boards and committees in various universities, including the Academic Council of University of Kashmir. Professor Anisa Shafi, while paying tributes to the Professor Dabla, said,
Professor Dabla's loss is a great loss not only for the department, but for the whole sociology fraternity. He was not only the founder of this department, but his contributions as a researcher, as a scholar, as a teacher, goes beyond words. It was he introduced the Department of Social Work. It was his vision. That department was in a position to introduce this course without having any faculty in the Department of Social Work. It's in his absence. It definitely, we feel paralyzed, we feel lonely. We don't know how to run the department in his absence, because he was not only a teacher but an advisor and a visionary for the department.
Vice Chancellor Professor Khurshid Iqbal Andrabi and the entire university community condoled the demise of Professor Dabla. A meeting between Vice Chancellor, Dean Academic Affairs and Chief Education Officers was held in the committee room of the university. Speaking on the occasion, Dean Academic Affairs, Professor Muhammad Ashrafwani, stressed the importance of improving the quality of school education.
It is not possible to bring any significant change with the kind of stuff that the higher secondaries get from the schools. So besides other things, we realized that it's very, very important that unless we improve the backward linkages, any kind of change bringing at higher secondary level is impossible. The standard at primary level, at secondary level, at middle level, higher secondary, it is not possible to expect any wonders at higher secondary level, even if we adopt them, even if our teachers teach there. So my take on this is that we should go back to those times.
He said that the university is trying to establish a constitute college, which would become a model for the rest of the colleges.
Because unless we get a good product, it is not expected from us to also produce a good product simultaneously. This is also our very bitter experience at the university level also. That's why the Vice Chancellor is now seriously thinking of establishing a constituent college, which will be under the jurisdiction, under the supervision directly of the university, so that we get a good product for masters, so that we will be able to produce good scientists, good social scientists, because this is our experience that out of 80 students in a class, it is just 4, 5, 6 students who are worth it. Otherwise, the rest of the students are as bad as any middle pass student.
The Vice Chancellor, Professor Khurshid Iqbal Andrabi, suggested that to improve the standard of students, higher secondary school teachers should teach primary school students.
You cannot have elementary education or primary education disintegrated from higher education, because both have to go hand in hand. This is what Dean Saab was describing, that if there is a disconnect between quality that is produced at primary and middle level, then it serves no purpose even if the staff is extraordinary at the higher secondary level. Technically, kuch asun, higher secondary teachers, they should also be filling in the gaps. To teach students of 8th, 9th, perhaps they could do a better job than the students, than the kind of teachers we have at primary level. We may not have as good teachers at primary level, but then I'm confident and sure that the teachers at secondary and high school level are much better than what the national average is. But then somehow we have let our people down and have always had the blame to be put on somebody. I don't say that the government does not have a responsibility, but then we have as much responsibility as members of this community, as parents, as teachers, as employees, whose bread and butter is these teachers.
Professor Andrabi opined that it is imperative for all stakeholders associated with education to prove that Kashmiris are capable of doing great things.
Let us presume that somebody was right at some point. It was imperative on us to prove that we actually possess some kind of talent.
Chief Education Officer and other officers of the higher secondary education also spoke on the occasion.
In China, we have at least 35,000 centers of VET, vocational education training, while as in India, you have only 3,000. That's why we are lacking. My dear brothers and sisters, wake up. As the VC has told you, wake up, this is a wake-up call. Everybody knows the curriculum and all that. लेकिन जहाँ हमारे बच्चे हैं स्कूल में 1st से लेकर 5th तक, कम से कम जो हमें टैलेंट आता है, निटिंग आती है, निटिंग सिखाओ. अगर किसी को इंजेक्शन करना आता है वो सिखाओ. अगर नहीं, वी कैन टेक द हेल्प फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट. मेडिकल कॉलेज जहाँ सब हमारा IIT वहाँ पे बैठा है चुप करके, उनसे हम कोई सहायता नहीं ले रहे. दिस इज अप टू वी कैन डू इट, बट वी आर स्लीपिंग ऑन द इशू.
A 4-day workshop on defensive driving skills and behavior modulation entitled Drive OK, Live OK 2050 concludes with valedictory function held at EMMRC Auditorium. The workshop was organized to sensitize people about the repercussions of erratic and rash driving. EMMRC, in collaboration with ILM's consultants, organized this workshop. During the 4-day workshop, various sessions were held in which students, scholars, academics and commercial vehicle drivers were sensitized about traffic safety measures.
Patient को आपने रख दिया, you kneel by his side, बिल्कुल flat surface पे डालना, you kneel by his side, chest की side पे. You take your palm, जो इसका ये heel है, put it on the sternum. Sternum जो है यहाँ पर, ठीक? फिर दूसरा हाथ आपने लाया, उसके ऊपर ऐसे. जो आपका center of gravity है, it should be right on the patient. ठीक? ऐसे रखना. Then you press.
On the valedictory, a film on rash driving was also screened.
इस लगन और जज्बे को बढ़ाने के लिए कि ख्याल रखना है हमारा अव्वलीन फर्ज, पर ये बेहिसी कैसे है? कीमती इंसानी जानों का ज़िया, अपनों को गवाना, ना भरने वाली जान, कब तक यूं ही तमाशाई बने रहे?
Speaking on the occasion, Director EMMRC Dr. Shahid Rasool said that initially he was reluctant for this kind of workshop, but it has been an eye-opener.
Many of us at our homes confront our own children who are not ready to accept our advice when we tell them don't drive the bikes, don't take the vehicle if you are underage. Many of us, the parents, find it very difficult to convince our underage children and convince them that they should not take the vehicle on the road. It is dangerous. Most of us in this hall do not wear seat belts, including me. Most of us do talk on mobiles when we are driving. And we are endangering our own lives. We are also endangering the lives of others who are following the safety measures. We are also endangering the lives of those people who don't have vehicles. They are simply pedestrians walking on the roadside. So after thinking over these things, I thought that it may be a good idea to collaborate with ILM and have some sensitization sessions in the university where the university faculty, some scholars, some students can also come, and we will at least make some beginning to tell people and tell ourselves that it's our responsibility to make use of the road safety measures while we go out on the road.
Dr. Shah told participants that youths are more vulnerable to accidental deaths as they mostly indulge in rash driving.
The fact of the matter is that in Kashmir alone, more than 1,000 people lose their lives every year in road accidents. And road accidents globally are considered the 9th highest cause for deaths among all people, among all ages, and 2nd highest among the youth. So the youth, college students, university students are more vulnerable to the accidents. India tops the list of the road accident deaths. Every year, 137,000 on an average. People lose their lives in the road accidents in India. So, this is a matter of concern, and this is a concern for all of us to think how to avoid the deaths, how to avoid the destruction that happens on the road because of our negligence.
Minister for Public Works, Floriculture, Garden and Parks, Mr. Saeed Al-Tabukhari lauded EMMRC for holding such an important workshop.
The holding of such functions and programs is need of the hour, as number of road accidents have risen to the alarming levels in the whole country, particularly in our state of Jammu and Kashmir. We have the highest number of road accidents. The national average is 0.9%, and we are 1.1%. The rate of accident deaths per 1,000 vehicle in Jammu and Kashmir is highest. Our roads are the same, which were around 37 years. Till the roads are built or they are changed to the specifications where we meet the international standards, I think what we can and what is within our means is that we can change our habits, how we drive on these roads.
Responding to the queries of Director EMMRC, Mr. Bukhari said that his ministry has taken the responsibility of making roads safer for the general public.
We have luckily 4-laning of this Kazigund Srinagar taking place. We have already Jammu Srinagar 4-laning is in progress. I think 2017 should see it done through. Pathankot to Jammu has been done. Now what remained was from Srinagar to Uri and Srinagar to Kupwara. Dr. Saab, you'll be happy to know Government of India has a program known as Bharat Mala, under which already Srinagar to Command Post Uri 4-laning has been approved in the last visit of the Union Transport Minister. You'll find work will be started on this patch because from Parimpora to Narbal we'll complete by end of October, and from Narbal to Command Post we'll take up next year. It will be 3.5 years before we complete it.
Dean Academic Affairs, Professor Muhammad Ashrafwani opined that deaths in road accidents is a serious cause of concern for everyone.
We cannot afford simply being an apathetic spectators of what is happening around. These need an organized effort. That is why, and then we cannot simply rely on state. That is why in new governance discourse, the state is now made of both the government and the civil society. Every problem needs to be studied, because unless and until you study it, then alone you can come out with solutions. It is like any other problem. It's a complex problem. It is multi-dimensional problem. Its roots are there are variety of reasons for this. And that needs a scholarly and expert study. And that study must become guide to action.
Many other participants and victims of road accidents also spoke on the occasion. The Department of English held an interactive session with an internationally acclaimed author, Mr. Mirza Waheed. Mr. Waheed is a Kashmiri-born novelist based in London. Head English Department, Professor Hamida Naeem, in her welcome address, introduced the works of the author.
Book The Collaborator brought Kashmir to the center stage of English literature and at the same time carved out a new identity for Kashmir. Apart from the subject matter, which is quite well known, The book gives a unique Kashmiri version of English to the world. And if you read the book, you will see that he seamlessly goes into Kashmiri vocabulary, into Persian vocabulary, into Arabic vocabulary, and it becomes so transparent, as if the word has become the reality itself. As someone rightly says, praise, Nassim Ezekiel rightly praise, oh intelligence, give me the exact word, so that that word becomes the thing itself, the experience itself. And in case of this collaborator, I feel exactly that the word has become the thing itself, the experience itself, which all of us are so well aware of. Because we all live that experience every day, and we all actually participate in that experience.
Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Waheed said that use of harsh words in his novel is because of the love he felt for the place he was born.
I, as a writer, have harsh words for the city now, but because of my love for the city. And the number of things we've done to the city, this glorious, glorious, magnificent city, is appalling. I, come back here every year, and I think of myself as this expat writer who has to remain silent, mostly because people say, but then as a writer, I can't, really. The writerly gaze has to turn inward as well at some point. Talking about anger, my first novel was, as Hamida ji said, this was writing back to the empire and so on and so forth. When I was writing, I didn't have those concepts in mind. I will be dishonest if I said, oh, I just wrote it just like that. I wrote out of anger. I wrote out of 20 years of anger. I grew up here. I grew up at the peak of everything. And like everyone else from my generation or the generation before me or after me, saw everything firsthand. So I carried that anger with me for 20 years.
Saying a lot of work on Kashmir has not been up to the mark. Mr. Waheed said that such works inspired him to write the place of his birth.
A lot of it had to do with what Hamida ji was talking about, that we had always been talked about, written about. Many years ago, I read the Lawrence Urban Kitab, and I found it racist. Everybody would quote back Lawrence, and I found large passages of which was quite simply racist. It made me very uncomfortable. What also made me uncomfortable was, why is everyone giving me Lawrence? I'm talking about your own uncles and seniors. Okay, you must read Lawrence, you must read Lawrence. And I read passages, I couldn't read the book fully. It was, there was such disdain for the Kashmiri native in many places. It made me uneasy, uncomfortable. But we're not talking about Lawrence. There was a lot of mediation in the 90s. A lot of people wrote about Kashmir, journalists, TV people, writers, historians, and it was always, what should I say, it was just silly to describe it very, very briefly. I'm not just talking about me. A lot of people were angry about this. This is not who we are, this is not what we do, this is not how we think. And yet, dozens of people would come, parachute into our lives, and then tell us how to think and who we are. This obviously is at the back of your mind when you're writing. You're not writing precisely to challenge this, because you're not writing a political manifesto. I'm writing a novel.
Later, a question-answer session was held with the author. With this, we come to the end of today's program. To watch all the episodes of Quest, log on to emmrckashmir.com. Send us your suggestions at our email address quest@emmrckashmir.com. Signing off with the thought of the week. Death is not the opposite of life, but a part of it.